Alright, and now for the highly anticipated post-dyno video of the Caprice. So Clifford did a fine job towing as usual, and still doing okay. And first off, I want to give Michael a big props on number one, tuning all this junk I bring him, and doing a fine job sorting through everything. Problems arise, being a problem solver, getting everything ready to go and figuring out a way around it. Fortunately for him, he has enough vehicles and in my condition that come through that he can figure out a workaround rather quickly. He has great experience in this. So anyway, we got back last night. Got home about 10:30, I think. Got there, hadn't cranked the car up since taking off the Holly and getting everything switched back over and ready for him. So I wanted to wait on him, let him look everything over before we cranked it. He said just go ahead and crank it. It fired right up, and I drove it off the trailer, and we went in and got it set up on the dyno, got it strapped down. He worked on the E38's ability, or lack thereof, to run 210 pound/hour Bosch injectors. He figured out how to get the pulse width time down low enough where it would idle better than a 9 or 10 air fuel ratio. So he got that sorted out. He kind of worked on cleaning everything up that he saw, and then was driving it and running through it and watching everything, and then out of nowhere he just went ahead and made a pull. So I wasn't expecting him to make a pull, and I don't think he was either, but he said everything looked good, so why not? And we were rewarded with 750 horsepower at the tires. So we looked at the log, looked everything over, and that was on 13 pounds of boost, which is what's in the wastegate springs. We had pump 93, 6 gallons of pump 93 in the tank, and that was on TR6 spark plugs, out of the box gap, nothing, just looked at them, make sure I didn't break the porcelain on them, and that was it. So he extrapolated the data from that and looked everything over. I think we made a pull after that. The Hobbs switch said nope. So after that, we had to work with both pumps running all the time, which made start up and idle challenging until he could get the car rolling and try to keep it running until he got into power where it could overcome and where it actually needed all that fuel pressure. So to the guy that said in the other video that fuel pressure does not affect base running, you're wrong. It absolutely does. Fuel pressure has a huge effect on a fuel injected car, and if your pressure is not right on this thing, if it's too much, when that injector is open, it is going to spray more fuel than it needs. This is how I wrap my straps up, nice and tidy. So after he got that cleaned up, I think we went ahead and put some ethanol in it. How nice my strap was. Got a little loose. Let's see, where is it? There we go. So don't buy that Hobbs switch right there. They're absolute garbage. You can see, look at how much you can move that terminal. I don't even think it worked one time. I think the pump in the tank, because these cars allegedly have a ZL1 pump, was able to carry it. So we don't know if it was working the first pull or not, but it made 750 and everything looked good. The fuel pressure dropped after that, and we just had to connect the orange wire over here and just have it, like I say, just have both pumps run all the time. The DSX auxiliary kit does not come with a regulator. It has I think it's like a 255 inline pump external, and they don't have a regulator. Theirs runs off of the map sensor and turns it on at, I think you can get varying pressures, but that was a 4 psi Hobbs switch. And apparently they just turn their pump on, and whatever pressure it gets, it gets all of it. So I'm kind of leaning towards just removing the regulator, because we had to I think we ended up putting 2 rounds in it, 2 complete turns on it to keep the pressure happy. So I mean, I'm all for simplifying it and just having it turn on, and then the pump in the tank can actually regulate, but based on pulse width modification or pulse width modulation. So I might just do that, just take the regulator out, and then just run a line over to my Y fitting here, and then just let it turn on and eat it. So that'd simplify things, and then that get rid of the regulator, and that get rid of the return line and all that fun stuff. So I'll take a look at that. So anyway, we unhooked it from the fuel rail. We took a power probe to our pump, ran the 4303, ran out the pump gas. We put it 10 gallons of E85 in it, and then he cranked it up and watched it, and E percent still showed like 9 or 10%, which is obviously what pump gas is these days. So I don't know if it didn't have enough time to calibrate or regulate or whatever, but he let it run for a second and the percentage didn't change. So we thought the sensor was bad. So we went to lunch and thought about it and tried to find another sensor, but obviously they didn't have one local. And he was like, well, we can tune it on the base map, the base map as E85. So he added 20% to the base table. He pulled it, and it was right where he wanted it. And he told me, he said, let's put a round and a half in your boost controller. And I said, sounds good. Sometimes we put 1 in it and it does nothing, and then we put 3 in it and it gets us where we want to. So 1.5's a nice happy medium. Well, neither of us were ready for the I didn't realize that this was the super fancy boost controller that I had just made, and we went from 750 horsepower on 13 pounds to pegging the map sensor and making 976 horsepower. So and then I think it shut the car down at 4,800 or 5,000 RPM, because the E38 has a 255 kPa max limit. That's the most this ECU will allow, is 255 kPa. And this is a ZR1 map sensor, and allegedly they're only 2.5 bars. So we were super excited. Everything looked good, except for the ECU said, whoa, wait, you guys are having too much fun, and closed the throttle body. So we kept taking turns out of the boost controller until it only made 750 again. And then we started going up on it like 1/8 of a turn at a time. So we ended up going from just putting half a turn in it, took us from 750 horsepower to 950 horsepower. So, and that was on a half a turn. It went from 13 pounds of boost to, I guess, about 20 pounds of boost, because it was right at, I think we were at 248 or 250 kPa, and we wanted to stay right below that 255 kPa limit. So we were hoping that we could try to get as close to that 255 limit as we could, and we still only had about 13 total degrees of timing in it. And obviously he didn't want to go up on the timing with the boost running away from us because of our very very persnickety boost controller there. So like I said, once we got it there, we added 1 degree. It picked up 20 rear wheel horsepower, and then we tried 1 more degree and it said nope. It didn't make any more power, so we pulled that degree back out, and then that was pretty much it. So the only thing we can do at this point to make it go over 1,000 horsepower is to get a true 3-bar map sensor, and then he said we would need an actual boost gauge, mechanical gauge, and then watch what it makes, and then rescale the VE table to where we can trick it into giving us more resolution than the 255. So I mean, obviously on the 976 horsepower pool, I mean, it was headed straight way past 1,000 horsepower at the tires, and as soon as it tapped the max value on this 255 limit, it closed the throttle body and said nope. So I mean, it would have crushed the 1,100, or well, I don't know about 1,100. It would have crushed the 1,000 horsepower mark, no problem, because I mean, you could see the power was just going straight up on the graph, and as soon as it touched, it just obviously fell off. So that was kind of a killjoy. We really want to see 4-digit power out of it, but we could have kept screwing with it and got it. I don't know, we could. He's a smart boy, and like I say, he really knows his stuff and knows how to work around the limitations that we're given. So, but like I say, I mean, I was tickled to death that the car made 750 on pump gas on 13 pounds of boost. I mean, I'm tickled to death with that. So all I gotta do is put a half a turn in there and put a tank of E85 in it, and we're 950 at the tires. So this car is an absolute animal. I mean, we went and drove it afterwards. I plugged in the content sensor, which on these cars is up beside the tank, up in here. You can see my greasy hand touching it there and then the car whacked me in the head, and then I was bleeding everywhere. So she wasn't happy with me. But anyway, we plugged the sensor in, then the daggum thing started working. The content sensor started working. So he took what we learned from the base table on ethanol and transferred everything over to the flex tables, got all that dialed in, and now with that functioning correctly and everything, he was able to, we disconnected the big pump so he could clean up and fix all the run and idle on the 210s, because again, too much fuel pressure on it. With the open time, it's going to put more fuel in it if it's overpressuring. So like I say, we disconnected that, and then we drove it around, and then we're able to do the percent air. And there's my kitty cat. Hey Jack. Yeah, I know. So, but anyway, the cat's out of the bag. We didn't make 1,000, but we got pretty close. So I'm gonna get a new hob switch, and then and a new set of drag radials, and then I gotta charge the air on it because I didn't get to charge it before I took it to the dyno. So get the AC charged, get the hob switch on, and then drive this baby around and see how she does. I'm real curious about the fuel mileage. Michael seems to think that agree with me that it should get about 15 miles a gallon around town. So which my around town is back road, 55 mile an hour 2-lane. So you know, yes, Jack. So you know, I've been waiting for this a long time to get this car dialed in and get it where I can drive it and enjoy it. And you know, Michael, I'm so grateful that Michael was able to get with me on this thing and get it dialed in and get it to where it is. So now we can take our time, and then we can enjoy this thing and see what it does. I don't know if I'll take it to the track or not. I haven't been to the track in years, but you know, I may take it out there just to see what it does. But anyway, that's it for now.